we've talked about the hottest programs out there where you can make huge commissions, right? We've talked about the ERC. We've talked about commercial real estate, equipment funding, just regular business loans, etc. We've talked about startup funding. It's time to talk about one that's never been my favorite. It's the SBA, the Small Business Administration. Let me unpack a few of the different opportunities out there. So you've got the 7A, which is kind of the main loan. You can use it for a startup SBA loan. You're going to need collateral. You're going to need a down payment. Then you've got the 504 SBA program, and that's really for the big equipment, the commercial real estate, etc. The 7A can actually be used to buy a franchise. Let's say you're buying a McDonald's franchise. It's $1 million where you're going to probably need, anywhere from $100,000 to $200,000 down. There better be some equipment that's backing it up. If you watch that McDonald's movie there with Michael Keaton, great movie, by the way. And Ray Kroc, of course, built that McDonald's empire. The big thing that made it work was when they started to own all the real estate and they were leasing it back to the franchise owners. That gave them tremendous power and wealth to be able to build and grow McDonald's. So you still need to have assets to back up those McDonald's franchise loans. But franchise loans are great with 7A. So those are kind of the two main SBA products. There's a third called the SBA Express, which is basically a no collateral $150,000 loan paid back over 10 years. Business has to have been in existence, usually 2-3 years, profitable tax returns to cover the new payment on the SBA loan, and you can't have too much debt personally either, or you won't qualify for that loan. So those have been the three programs for a long time with SBA. So those have been the three main SBA programs: 7A, 504, and the Express. And then when COVID and the pandemic happened, well, these new programs popped up for business owners. And very interesting, these programs. The first one was the PPP. Of course, it's expired, exhausted, doesn't exist. There was PPP loan, and then there was PPP loan number 2. So we had these two types of loans. The first one was part of the CARES Act in, I think, March, April of 2020. It disappeared. But it was basically you were getting 8 weeks of payroll to keep your people employed, and it could also go to your rent payment. And then there was a second round of the CARES Act that was in early 2021, and that was PPP2. So those are done. Those were the payroll protection program because they wanted to protect your payroll, keep your employees on, which is great. It was very helpful during that time for everybody affected, which most people were as business owners. And then the next step was this EIDL loan, the Emergency Injury Disaster loan was kind of what that stood for. And it was Economic Injury Disaster, EIDL. Economic Injury Disaster Loan, EIDL. So this EIDL loan was this interesting loan that you could get. It was kind of based off of what your gross revenues and sales were as a business owner in 2019. And it started out at I think it was $150,000, and then it went to $500,000, then it went to $2 million. But it was based on how much. So if your sales were less than $1 million, maybe you were getting a $50,000 loan or a $30,000 or $100,000, whatever it was. But if your sales were, well over $1 million, then maybe you could get $150,000. And then they had all this government money, and they're like, oh, we got to give this money away to these business owners through these loans. And all of a sudden it went from, here, Mr. Business Owner, you started out with $150,000. Would you like $500,000? And then, you're at $500,000. Would you like $1 million or $2 million? And so these were the loans that were out there. And really, small business owners should have only been taking those if they had very dialed-in investment processes where they knew if they invested in this and their business would grow. And hopefully that's what business owners did. Of course, I know probably a lot did not, and probably put in very high-risk things like crypto and other things that maybe didn't work out and are defaulting and on their way to bankruptcy, which is very, very sad and unfortunate. But so those are all the different options. And then, of course, the last final kind of SBA option out there, it's a big benefit, will come full circle, is that ERC, Employee Retention Credit, where you can get this massive tax credit refund. It's a cash payment coming in the form of a check from the United States Treasury Department. So if you're a small business owner, if you haven't got that yet, go to sevenfigureserc.com and make sure you tap into that program. That said, my friend, the SBA is typically a pain. They do have a new program out. So there is now a fourth program called the SBA Bolt. And where the Express, you had to really have your profit loss dialed in to qualify and have enough cash flow. The Bolt loan is this program where it's just based on, hey, you get 30% of your revenue. So if you did $500,000 in 2021 business tax return, they might give you a $150,000 loan payback over 10 years. Very cool. That's the SBA Bolt program. And so there are SBA lenders out there that will pay you 1 or 2 percentage points. So if it's like a $150,000 loan, you might make $1,500 to $3,000 on it. Maybe you have a service fee for preparing the documents and helping the business owner of $1,000 or $2,000. And so you can do a lot of those SBA loans and make a lot of money, but they are going to take typically 6 to 8 weeks to get done. And they can, obviously die and get resurrected multiple times, as SBA loans tend to do.